Hey guys, this is GOKU KETCHUM here. Today we're discussing the top 10 worst Cartoon Network shows of all time. So let's get to the countdown. Number 10, Johnny Test.
Everything about the show is awful.
I can't believe I used to watch this show when I was little. I regret watching this awful show. It's just a rip-off of Dexter's Laboratory. Yeah, this show is awful. Yeah. Number 9, Super Noobs.
Everything about the show is awful. Like the episodes, everything about it is just terrible. Number 8, Mad. It's basically just the kid-friendly version of Robot Chicken, and I don't like how they keep making fun of my favorite TV shows and movies. Luckily, it's canceled now. The only thing good about it was Spy vs. Spy. Yeah.
Number 7, Modern Gumball.
I think after the episodes, The Downer, The Return, The Triangle, The Money, The Egg, and The Nemesis. Yeah, after those episodes, The Downer, The Egg, The Return, The Triangle, The Money, and The Nemesis, I feel like The Amazing World of Gumball has just gone way downhill. Yeah. The Amazing World of Gumball is a bad show gone good. It's a good show gone bad. Yeah.
The Amazing World of Gumball is bad now. Yeah. Number 6, Mighty Magic Swords.
Everything about this show is just ugly. Like the sword, the story, everything about it is just awful. I hate Mighty Magic Swords. Yeah.
Number 5, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Ugh.
I don't get it. The Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movies were incredible, but then they made this train wreck of a TV show. What were they thinking? Number 4, Annoying Orange.
Everything about this show is horrible. I can't stand this show. Yeah.
Number 3, Powerpuff Girls 2016.
Everything about this show is just butt ugly. Like, what were they thinking when they made this show? It's just awful. Yeah.
Number 2,
Ben 10 2016. What was Man Imagine thinking when they made this? They made 4 good Ben 10 spin-offs. Ben 10, Ben 10 Alien Force, Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, and Ben 10 Omniverse. How could they f*** it up? I'll never understand why they did it. Yeah. This is the worst Ben 10 incarnation ever.
and now the number 1 worst Cartoon Network show of all time is Teen Titans Go.
How could they take such a great show and turn it into this train wreck? Yeah, everything about Teen Titans Go is just awful. I hate Teen Titans Go. I used to like it when I was like 13 years old, but now I regret watching this awful show. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Teen Titans Go is awful. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, rate, and subscribe. See you all soon. Bye. And let me know in the comments, do you rate any of these shows?
Okay, guys, I have no idea where to even start with this countdown. Well, let me go down his list from his number 10 to his number 1 worst Cartoon Network shows spots, and some bonus issues with his video. First, his number 10 spot, which is Johnny Test. Seriously, people are still complaining about this show, especially 3 years after its cancellation? We get it, guys. Johnny Test is one of the most obnoxious and unoriginal shows that has ever existed, where it rips off Dexter's Lab with the concept of the show and Susan and Mary and Bling Bling Boy on how they resemble Dexter and Mandart's rivalry, how Johnny is like Bart Simpson, how Dookie is like Scooby-Doo mixed with Brian Griffin, why the show is usually considered a Fairly Odd Parents ripoff with Susan and Mary giving Johnny things to help him out, how the mom and dad don't feel like the mom and dad at all, and how their roles are switched around, and why the show is obnoxious in that they say the same things over and over again in every episode, and the obnoxious whip sound effect they play every few seconds. There is nothing new to bring to the table. Everyone has talked about this show to death, bringing up every problem that has made it infamous during its run on Cartoon Network and Teletoon, including how in the later seasons where Johnny acted like a toddler at times, saying things like, "Johnny want cookie," or "Johnny want trophy so I don't feel like a loser." And did this guy bring anything new to the table? Of course not. In fact, he barely brought up any reasons against the show at all, other than the fact that it's a ripoff of Dexter's Laboratory and that the show is awful. I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying this.
Everything about this show is awful.
I can't believe I used to watch this show when I was little. I regret watching this awful show. It's just a rip-off of Dexter's Laboratory. Yeah, this show is awful. Yeah.
And this is where the bigger issues come into place later, and I'll get to that later, Cyberlink Power Director, don't push me. His number 9 spot, Super Noobs, doesn't have him giving any explanation at all, and there's not even one reason as of why he doesn't like Super Noobs, which is exactly why his number 9 spot is the worst part of this entire video. I'm not joking about this either.
Everything about this show is awful. Like the episodes, everything about it is just terrible.
His number 8 spot, Mad, is pretty different. Instead of him just saying the show is awful like he did in number 9 and the majority of number 10, he decided to nitpick the show to death by saying it's bad because it's making fun of other cartoons, movies, or live action shows.
It's basically just the kid-friendly version of Robot Chicken, and I don't like how they keep making fun of my favorite TV shows and movies. Luckily, it's canceled now. The only thing good about it was Spy vs. Spy. Yeah.
Hey dude, has it ever occurred to you that maybe the reason why this show makes fun of other media is because it's supposed to be a parody? And besides that, you mentioned Robot Chicken in this number 8 spot, which I gotta ask this question. What are your thoughts on Robot Chicken? Since you never said what your thoughts were on it, if you dislike the show because just like Mad it makes fun of other media, that would make sense, but if you like Robot Chicken, then you would be contradicting yourself because by your logic, you should dislike Robot Chicken just because it makes fun of other media just like Mad, even though it's a parody and you're taking it way too seriously. His number 7 spot, the modern episodes of The Amazing World of Gumball, is a spot that I have no idea to why he doesn't like the newer episodes. The only things he mentioned was that he thought the newer episodes were bad, which automatically doesn't mean that they're reasons. And the only episodes he actually mentions that he thinks are bad are the Downer, the Return, the Triangle, the Money, the Egg, and the Nemesis.
I think after the episodes, the Downer, the Return, the Triangle, the Money, the Egg, and the Nemesis. Yeah, after those episodes, the Downer, the Egg, the Return, the Triangle, the Money, and the Nemesis, I feel like the Amazing World of Gumball has just gone way downhill.
And when he mentions these episodes he does not like, he says he no longer likes the show, with no depth being put into the reasonings.
Yeah, the Amazing World of Gumball isn't a bad show gone good. It's a good show gone bad. Yeah, the Amazing World of Gumball is bad now. Yeah.
I'm not saying you not liking New Gumball is a bad thing, but as a presenter, this is something that you cannot get away with, because doing this will confuse your audience, and also you can't judge an entire era of episodes in a show like this just because of 6 episodes. After the Nemesis, I did some research. There have been a total of 86 and soon 87 episodes released, and did you even give any of those episodes a chance at all, or no? His number 6 spot, Mighty Magiswords, is literally just him saying that the animation with how it looks and the swords are ugly.
Number 6. Mighty Magiswords.
Everything about this show is just ugly. The swords, the story, everything about it is just awful. I hate Mighty Magiswords. Yeah.
Okay, dude, you don't have to like the animation if you want to, but first off, how is the animation ugly and bad? And second off, you can't judge an entire show just because of how the animation looks. The animation is just like the appearance of a person, and in this case, it's the appearance of the kind of media. And you right here are judging how the show is by how it looks, and equivalent of judging a book by its cover. There might be more reasons to why he hates this show, but this is all he brings up about the show, and you do realize that the animation is not what makes an animated series or movie, right? That's like if I said that Ice Age Collision Course was a good movie just because of the animation there, because it's the best of the whole franchise. Even though, yes, the animation there was the best of the franchise, just like Walking with Dinosaurs, that is not enough to save the entire film, because Ice Age Collision Course is one of the worst animated films that I have ever seen. And when I get the chance to talk about it in the future, I'll really go more in depth with it, so I won't waste my time. For me, the animation in Mighty Magiswords isn't the big problem. The bigger problem is that the show's editing and voices sound like the voice actors drank a bunch of coffee, or the voices were sped up in a video editor. I would know this because I actually did this in one of my reviews before when I sped up my voice so I wasn't slow anymore until my first birthday Q&A special. And this could have been a good point that you could have brought up, but no, you had to say that the animation is ugly, even though you didn't even explain this at all. But moving on from that, his number 5 spot, Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs, the series, is easily the second worst part of this entire video. I don't mind him recapping his thoughts on the films, but what I do mind is him not even saying what he thinks about the show itself. All he said was, what were they thinking when they were making this show?
I don't get it. The Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movies were incredible. But then they made this train wreck of a TV show. What were they thinking?
Okay, what's wrong with the show that makes you hate it so much? You can't just say what you did in this part of the video, saying the first 2 films are incredible, and then go on to say what were they thinking when making this show, and expect me and several other people to take your word for it. His number 4 spot, the High Fructose Adventures of Annoying Orange, has very little substance. Just go to the part where I talk about your number 9, as I am not repeating myself, and this part is almost as bad as that part. His number 3 spot, which is the Powerpuff Girls 2016, is him saying the animation is ugly.
Everything about this show is just but ugly. Like, what were they thinking when they made this show? It's just awful. Yeah.
Again, dude, the animation is not what makes an entire series. And also, again, you can't just say what were they thinking when they made this show and expect us to take your word for it. His number 2 spot, Ben 10 2017, is him saying it's the worst of the Ben 10 shows with no reason again. And he just says what were they thinking while making this.
What was Manufacturing thinking when they made this? They made 4 good Ben 10 spin-offs. Ben 10, Ben 10 Alien Force, Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, and Ben 10 Omniverse. How could they screw it up? I'll never understand why they did it. Yeah. This is the worst Ben 10 incarnation ever.
And his number 1, Teen Titans Go, I can literally repeat myself what I said in this list recap. He doesn't explain, he's beating a bandwagon, and he expects people to take his word for it when he needs to explain in order to have the audience know why he doesn't like these things. So, final thoughts to this video. This is honestly the worst countdown that I've ever seen on YouTube. He barely elaborated at all to why he disliked these shows. At best, they're nitpicky, like he said towards shows like Mad with the whole, this show is bad because it makes fun of other shows, quote unquote, despite the fact that they're parodies that aren't supposed to be taken so seriously. And when you got onto shows like Mighty Magiswords and the Powerpuff Girls 2016, for no reason than just how the animation is, it might be for more reasons than just its looks, but what you did here didn't make it seem like you had more reasonings. But at worst, you give out no reasons out to why you don't like these shows whatsoever. Number 10, you said everything about Johnny Test is awful and that it's a ripoff of Dexter's Laboratory. Number 9 is the same thing, with not even one reason. Number 7, he didn't even explain why he doesn't like Modern Gumball. He only said in a few episodes in which he doesn't like. The closest thing to him giving actual examples to why he doesn't like this era was name-dropping 6 episodes he hates. But besides that, he just says that Gumball is bad now. Number 6, besides the animation complaint, All he said was that everything was bad. In the words of Supersonic Ward 15, examples, use them. Number 5, he just said that the 2 films that was based on were incredible. And he said that the show that was based off of 2 films was a train wreck. And he finally says, what were they thinking while making this show? Number 4, all he says is that the annoying orange show is horrible. His number 3 referred to what I said in his number 6. His number 2 spot, all he said was that they messed up this show, while saying the other 4 Ben 10 shows were good, with no examples. And his number 1 spot is literally in the entire video in a nutshell. He picked a show that was been beaten to the ground. He didn't elaborate, and it's very predictable because I knew Teen Titans Go was going to be number 1 when I saw the title, Top 10 Worst Cartoon Network Shows, in which Teen Titans Go is the most hated show from Cartoon Network, and also because of how tedious this video really is. And which brings me into the second problem, the repetition in this video. Throughout the entire video, he says the same things over and over again, and he starts nearly every number on the list by saying, ugh, then going on to say that the show is bad, and literally nothing else. He doesn't put any detail into any of his spots for the list, so much so that to the point where my past self, like my top 15 worst Disney Channel shows, and my Good Luck Charlie rant past self, is more explained than this video. And the other big example in which I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Cian Banham has more explanations put into his arguments than this guy's list. Why? With me, I at least put more into each spot on the list than just having a few seconds of me just saying, this show and its episodes are awful, and then moving on to the next spot. I did more than just that alone, and if you add up to the length of these 2 videos on a calculator, you would get the runtime of 27 minutes and 26 seconds. Meaning much more time was put there than this, which is currently 3 minutes, giving you very little time to even explain the information for said show, or even the reasons, which is not a good thing. And also with the Cian Banham part, I will admit, this guy is a little better than Cian Banham because he at least doesn't value quantity over quality. His presentation has improved over time, and I'm not sure if he's willing to improve or if he's bad at reviewing content since he's only 5 reviews in right now, and he's only made 7 countdowns so far, and this does give this guy plenty of time to improve his reviews, while Cian Banham, on the other hand, has been at these problems for 4 years since 2014. He gave quantity over quality on his channel, and he completely refused to take any kind of constructive criticism. Just because, in his own words, he makes it just for his friends, even though he put his reviews on public to where they could get criticized whether he likes it or not. And also, in his own words, because he was leaving YouTube last year, when in reality he left in the beginning of February 2018, and he completely rejected the criticism by telling people to go away, leave me alone, or telling people to kill themselves, especially when they weren't even being mean to him, because the comment section last I saw weren't even mean comments. They were just people saying that his reviews he made were bad. Nothing more, nothing less. And there was even one comment saying that the video where he was in a castle could have been good if it wasn't for the quality on his camera and the audio, because you can barely hear anything, and the camera was so wobbly that it made the video a headache to watch, and also making it unwatchable. And finally, he has not improved his presentation since we first talked about him. He still had the issue where he still had glitches in his reviews. The frame rate was still choppy, like I mentioned in my rant on him, and how it looks like it was recorded using the early versions of Cyberlink Power Director with how everything moves. But even though the majority of this guy is a little better than CN Banham, but if there was anything that I would say CN Banham does better than this person, it's easily on the fact that as vague as CN Banham's arguments are, at least he goes into what the plot is about, and at the end of his review, at least in his review on Trolls, he at least briefly talked about the things he didn't like the movies at the final conclusion. But this guy, however, refer to what I've been saying throughout this whole one-shot, and final issue with this video is easily on the presentation. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. This guy has definitely improved his presentation right after this video with 6 reviews on Cartoon Network shows, but still, for this video, the presentation isn't very good. Mainly because he uses a camera that could give you eye strain for recording one picture, but the wasted potential here is that this kind of video could have been easily made with a video editor easily. In the words of Supersonic Ward for the second time, you have a computer man, as shown in this video. If you have a video editor during the process of this video, like Windows Movie Maker, Sony Vegas, or Cyberlink Power Director, you could have easily used them instead of recording the screen with your camera. That way, it's a lot easier on the eyes, and it would make the presentation a lot more professional. Although, even if the presentation improves, the problems would still remain here. But anyways, my best advice towards GOKU KETCHUM is the same advice that I gave towards Patrick Bruff and Flames of Insanity, in that I think you should get an editing software, use a script, and I don't think you should repeat yourself so much going into a video, just like what Bop told me back in the past. You shouldn't repeat yourself that much by constantly saying, ugh, and then going on to say that the show is bad, and that's it. Also, something extra as well, please elaborate on your points, because just saying this show is awful or saying it's butt ugly doesn't justify anything. And no, nitpicks do not count, like what you did towards Mad, Mighty Magiswords, and the Powerpuff Girls reboot, because those problems are so small that there's no reasons to point them out at all, unless this is one small part of your numbers 8, 5, and number 3 spots. But no, those nitpicks are your main point against these shows, which is not only bad, but it makes you look lazy, because if you or many people do things like this, people will believe that you're pointing out these things out just because you're too lazy to elaborate, or you don't know why you hate these shows. Take my advice into consideration, and maybe you'll completely improve your countdown or reviewing style, because I do see potential in you, just like when I did my one-shot on Patrick Bruff last year. Oh, and now that I'm done with the one-shot, you guys might be wondering about my top 8 best and worst animated films of 2017 list, huh? I'm halfway throughout the entire video. In terms of the recordings, I'm all the way at number 8 on the worst list, although by the time that this video is probably uploaded, I'll probably be done with the recording process and possibly the editing process, and on the script, I'm completely done with the entire video, and the reason why is because I wanted to make sure I wasn't making it a rush to get the recordings done. And my Cyberlink Power Director has been having a bunch of issues behind the scenes, where whenever I try to save my progress with each shot on both the best list, it says it's not responding very well. And my editing software started doing this back in January when the recordings were only at 25 minutes or so. But right now in the recordings are almost done. It's almost an hour long, and it's only at number 8 on the worst list. So my new strategy for the rest of my progress with this list is recording the rest of the lines for the worst list when I do get done with the recordings, and then I go on to my editor and put all the audio into my editing software. Finish the entire video, render it, and finally upload it, and take a deep breath of relief that I'm finally done with it. And after that, I got a few other videos planned, like a top 5 best and worst internet critics list. And don't worry guys, in the list, I'm not judging these guys on how they are as people, I'm judging them how they review content. I'll be reviewing more Drake and Josh, but in overall seasonal reviews, instead of reviewing every episode in the season, that I won't have a lot to talk about. The first ever extreme rant that I will ever make on my channel on a video game that I actually find worse than Ninja Breadman, because while the controls are slightly better, the rest of it is completely off the scale, including that 7th level in the game, and a new mini-series called Sean's Yearly Reviews, where I review every animated movie in the current year. In 2018, this list will include Scooby-Doo and Batman the Brave and the Bold, Monster Family, Peter Rabbit, if I do include it, Lego DC Superheroes The Flash, Early Man, Isle of Dogs, Sherlock Gnomes, Duck Duck Goose, Animal Crackers, if it does get officially released, because it took a while for that to get released, or an official release date in the United States, The Incredibles 2, Hotel Transylvania 3, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, oh god no, Smallfoot, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, at least for now. So anyways, I want to give a special shout out to HaloFanHP00, aka HaloFan2977, for doing a commentary on Goku KETCHUM's video, because I brought up some points that HaloFan brought up in his commentary, even though I discovered the video first, and I decided to do my commentary on this video and bring up things that HaloFan didn't. So that's all I've got for this video. This is Sean S. out.